All right, let me bring 10 seconds out. No, there we go. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, and I am here today to teach you a morning mental workout, neuromobility, how to use this amazing organ that you have that's called a brain, using the 74 principles of real leadership on your own. Go ahead and inhale 3 times just to quiet the mind and let it know we're getting ready to give it something that it needs so that it can succeed. Okay, today is Wired Wednesday, and that means we are going to be checking your neural plasticity, your neural pathways. I was about to say your neural ability, but that's everything. I'm going to do a review of everything that we've been learning so far so that it sticks, so that it becomes indelible in your brain. First thing that I will go over is neurogenesis. Neurogenesis is creating new neurons. That's the process, that's what it is. You get to do it. Scientists thought many years ago that what you received is what you were born with, and you couldn't create any more new neurons, and that is no longer the case. Good morning, Regina. Now you can create new neurons, and the process is called neurogenesis. Now, how you do that is through neuroplasticity. So you create neural pathways to wire your brain to different areas. And so neuroplasticity is the brain's physical ability to rewire itself to create or make more neural pathways. So you have the ability to learn more, to do more, to become more. You just need the wiring to new pathways. Now, the interesting thing about neurogenesis is that it allows you to challenge yourself. You can learn new skills, and new neurons need an environment that is enriched in order for them to survive. The example that I used yesterday is if you have an infant newborn baby, you can't just take the baby outside, expose it to all the germs and everything that's in the world because they were in the womb. If you do that, the baby's going to get sick. The baby won't be able to survive. So the things that hinder neurogenesis are stress, fear, and toxic environments. So if you are in a toxic environment and you believe that you are going to create neurogenesis, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Your neurons are going to be like, and they're never, ever going to be able to create the pathways to what you want to do to enhance and advance your mind. Now, the process of neuromobility combines neurogenesis and neuroplasticity. And what it does, good morning, it allows you to hold yourself personally accountable, learn how to do that using the 74 principles of real leadership. And now you get to create, good morning, all these different neural pathways, and you get to combine the 74 principles of real leadership so that it becomes unlimited, and then you become unlimited, and then you get to become your best day in and day out. And that's what we're learning how to do. So we're going through each individual 74 principle of real leadership so that you can understand how it's wired. But we went over all of them, got a brief overview. Then I started going over them. So then I thought to myself, basically having a conversation with Nola yesterday on one of the appointments, going to our last appointment for the day. And I had her start using. So she was saying things and I said, okay, say that using the principles of real leadership. And then it occurred to me, that's how these neural pathways are going to be wired. That's what's going to take place. And so that's why today's topic is wired. So I'm going to be testing, good morning, I'm going to be testing your wiring. Like, pop quiz. That's what we're doing. So that I can understand where you are, because it has to connect. Back in the day, you used to go to school, you used to learn stuff. Most of the shit you didn't use, you're not using it. I'm still waiting to use the Pythagorean theorem. I haven't used it in my career at all, but hey, had to learn it. Still haven't really used those 8 semesters of English in high school or the 2 years in college that I took for all that theoretical stuff. Art appreciation, I had that class. Art history, still didn't really do anything. And the history of dance is what it actually was. So some of these things that you learn, you just learn and you don't need them. But you actually do need the 74 principles of real leadership. As a result of that, I'm going to be checking your wiring today. You're like, how are we going to do that, Dr. Donna? Well, first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the definition of wired. Now, what was interesting is when I looked up, because that's the PA for today in the Real Leader Brain, as you continue in challenges, you will get to those. But I looked up the definition of wired. And it's the first time in a long time that I could not find a complete definition without adding some Dr. Donna isms to it. And so it was wired like, oh my God, I'm so wired, or ooh, I was wired, tied one on, or it was with the internet, but it was not the wired that I was looking for. So I took part of one definition. Because I have a doctorate in education, I can make up my own definitions. As we know, I have a whole board on Pinterest for Dr. Donna's playlist. And so the definition that we will be using today and every Wednesday going forward, just going to call it Wired Wednesday to check your neural pathways. So be prepared for that. And it is using examples. No, I'm sorry. Here we go, down here. Wired definition. Characterized by the connection to someone or something. Characterized by a connection to someone or something. That's wired. So that means, what are you connected to? So I was doing the PA for today, as well as the Real Leader Brain, and also announcing the live. And what I found is I have a bag, old school. Look at this old Ziploc bag, and it's got old phones in it, plugs, and all kind of electronics. My hard drive from my old Mac, more RAM. And I used to have a subscription to Wired. I used to have a subscription to Wired magazine back in the day. And so they sent us these. It was so cool. It was a power brick. And basically you used it to charge your phone. So I can't connect to that anymore because I think this, and Nola probably will remember more than me. I think it's 2013, 2014, somewhere around there. But I thought it was cool, so I kept it. People keep some of their technology. And so Wired. So we will have this as a reminder. And then also, anybody who's traveled across the world. When I was in Korea, I was the second lieutenant in Korea. And my first duty assignment was in Korea. When you first get there, you have to stay in a hotel in economy. They have, as an officer, they don't have housing available for you, so you have to wait. So I lived in a Korean hotel for 3 weeks. Well, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know the difference between a 220 and a 110. So I plugged my Plymatics hot curling iron into the wall, and smoke came out. Hence, I found out about these. Now, when I travel, I have my different connections so that whatever country I'm in, it's a nice little cool little bag. So you get to have the right wiring so you're not blowing up anybody's anything. And it tells you what country, and this is going to be backwards, but it literally tells you the countries that you'll be in and where you should use them. So that's cool in case you forget. So now you're not blowing anything up. It's written on all of them. And now when I leave the country, I now have connectivity and I'm wired properly. Now, the example that I'm going to use today is this. So this is from one of my old Samsung phones. So I have the Samsung brick and I have this wire. And so I am connected based upon my definitions, characterized by connections to someone or something. This works for one of my back in the day, probably my Note. It's probably from my Note 5 or Note 8. Now, this is my new cord for my new well, it's not new, but my newest phone is a S22, right? So this works. I am connected, I plug it in, and it works. Now watch this. If I take this old Samsung cord, this whole Samsung brick box, and I take my new Samsung cord, I'm no longer connected. Can y'all see that that's smaller than that? So now I'm not connected to the right source, the power source. I'm not wired to the right connection. Conversely, the same thing will take place with this. So if I try to plug this into here, if you can see that, hopefully I got this black shirt on, it won't fit. It will not fit. So this wired won't fit, okay? So I can go to the old phone and it works. And I can go to the new phone and it works. So what has happened? I have pruned this wiring. This is an old neural pathway. Used to work for this old phone that I no longer have. So I'm no longer wired to any of my Note phones, okay? I am now wired to my new phone. So this is neurogenesis at its finest, okay? So this was an old neural pathway that no longer works. So if I try to plug this into here, it's not going to be wired, it's not going to be connected, and vice versa, okay? So this is Loserville. Old connection, no longer functions at all. New connection, Okay? So what's happening? People want a new neural pathway, but they want the new neural pathway to work in the old way. So you can't take new neurons and put them in the old sources. That's not what's going to work. Okay? That's not going to happen. So when you create neurogenesis and you create a new neural pathway, you got to have the right wiring to go to the result. So if I want to charge my current phone today, I need this cord. If I try to do it with this cord, nothing is going to happen. So does that make sense? When you start thinking about neural pathways, now you have a visual. Your wiring. Where are you wired to? What is taking place with your wiring? What is going on with your wiring? Because it's in here, but you can't see it. You'd have to be on an MRI, go back, look at the images, see what's happening inside. Oh my God, look at the neurons going like this. But now you can actually see a visual. What are you connected to? So I'm asking you right now to use the 74 principles of real leadership and wire a neural pathway. And Nola, if you want to start, you can, because this is how you start to use the principles of real leadership. You have to wire a principle of real leadership to start that. So the new neuron is, hey, be honest. Okay, how am I going to use be honest? And every time you use be honest, you are strengthening that neural pathway. That's the only way this works. That's the only way you get to neuropability, which is to wire your brain to use the 74 principles of real leadership, one at a time, multiples at a time, depending on the situation that you're in. But you have to consciously start saying it. So on the way to the third appointment yesterday, as Nola had to re-say everything that she said and she was thinking, and then the more we talked about it, she started adding them and saying, oh, this is why it's carry only what you need, because you have to wire your brain, good morning, Lola, to personal accountability. Otherwise, you're going to be doing this. It's an old phone. It's not going to work. I don't need this. I don't even have the phone anymore. I kept the cord just because we keep cords, right? We think somehow it's going to come back. It's going to do a resurgence, but the phone had to be turned in. Okay? So this is what's happening. You get this old cord, this old neural pathway, and it doesn't work anymore. It's not connected to where you want to be, but you're still holding on to it. So it's too clunky. Everything is smaller. Everything is lighter. This cord, I don't know if you could tell the difference, but it's thicker. It's the diameter is thicker. This is bigger. Everything is more clunky. Technology based upon Say's laws improves every 18 months. Now it's this. I know you can know it has a longer cord and it's more durable, but now these are universal. Remember, at one point, only the cord for that phone worked. That was some bullshit. So you had to keep buying a new phone cord with everything else. Anyway, so think about a situation and now wire the neural pathway for that. Because this is how you apply. Remember when I talked about knowledge, about going through principles of real leadership, K in pink is knowledgeable. It's the application of knowledge. So me giving you one way to use a principle of real leadership only has you using that one. As I mentioned before, you do need to get a copy of my book. I'm not selling my book right now. It's still on Amazon, Real Leaders Wear Pink. You need to grab a copy so that you have a physical copy. And I've even said, go ahead and make these cards yourself. Because it's like, oh, but you can sell those, Dr. Don, you can make some money. No, but if you write them down yourself, writing it down puts it up here. So Dollar Tree, O-ring, and it's one principle. It's the effectives. It's each section and what it is. And then that portion of the book is on that side. Okay, what I'm saying is, Nola, yesterday when you were having the conversation on the way to the last, yes, you are doing what we did last night on the way to the last appointment. That's what you're doing. So what I'm saying to everyone is you have to connect the principles of real leadership yourself. I can tell you how to do it all day long, but you're not going to get the neural pathways I am. Okay, so you have to start making that connection of them. That's why you need to purchase the book. It's like going to college and not having the textbook. It's not going to work. I thought you didn't need it, and I said that before. I'm like, nah, you actually need it so you can see the story, see the references to it, so that it will give you. Okay, thank you. Let me write that down. That's for Nola telling me I need to do something. I got to upload more content into Slack. So that's what's taking place, because you need to start applying this so that it's natural. It comes to you, and natural is the N in pink in the book. So it is naturally happening. And Nola can start, because I started this with her yesterday, but your brain. So think about a situation and what principle of real leadership that you use for that situation. And you are probably going to be typing because of the character defects. Good morning, Sharonda. Because of the character defects. So being here, being exposed to them, give examples of that. And as Nola types. So for example, and if I do it, then you're going, I don't, and then the whole point is for me to not skew you in a direction to say, this is how you use it, because you have to use it how you see fit. So I'll use me. Technical competence. Thank you for that, Regina. Technical competence, be technically competent, is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And so in order for me to present any information to you, I have to understand it first. I have to increase my technical competence. So I'm very well versed in the principles of real leadership, and my competence, in order for me, now that I know it's neurological, I have to, all my social media platforms are brain, neuroscientists, neurologists. I'm taking in information. I have a whole brain notebook separate from my live notebook now, and I clean my desk off. Thank you, Jesus. So all my notes are in one place now, but I am continuously studying the brain. And what does that mean? And how does this connect? And what part is that? I know there are 100 neurotransmitters. I mean, 100, what is it? Not neurotransmitters. Yeah, there are 100 neurotransmitters. People keep making it seem like it's only 6. It's actually 100, according to the most recent article. Vetting information back and forth, because one person will say this is true, the next person won't. And now I'm saying, well, what part is actually valid? Be objective. So I use that in order to give you the information every day. Nola said, I had taken time to build up my technical competence for TV mounting, so I stopped for a while. Now I have the technical competence and I could be the best and mount TVs in 15 minutes. That is correct. So she had to take a step back. She mounted a lot of curtains, a lot of blinds and other things, pictures and everything. And then we circled back on TV mounting, and now it's no big deal. Ain't no thing but a chicken wing. So that's an example. Another example, and the reason why you're doing this is because, as Nola, the conversation that we were having is she was talking about something in sports, about what the coaches are doing and all of this. And it's this energy from these unaccountable people. And I felt it. And I said, okay, now how can you say that using the principles of real leadership? And soon as she shifted and started thinking, because she was telling the story from a hijacked amygdala state, cortisol's coming, because that's what they feel. And as soon as she made the shift to the principles of real leadership, she wasn't as loud, it wasn't as animated, and it was calm. And then it was more about cognition. And so we were talking about how many plays they have in college, 80 plays, and how many plays they have in the NFL, 150 plays. Because my question to her was, why is it that they do all this stuff in practice, and then when you see it in a game, it's not the same? I'm like, when I was in the military, we did drills. And so when it was time to go make stuff happen, it was practice makes everything part of your working memory and second nature. And so what she said was, in practice, they go over the plays. If they don't get the play right, they just move on to the next play, and it's too many plays. So as she was using the principles of real leadership, she realized, carry only what you need. Do you need 150 plays? Do you? Or can 10 work and just run all the different audibles on the play? So because of that, we have been trained and programmed and wired for negativity bias, number one, and we just automatically take the unaccountable situation and dissect the unaccountable situation and really don't have a viable solution. But when you start using the 74 principles of real leadership, you can say, you don't need 150 plays. 20 will do. Carry only what you need. Problem solved. Because you're asking the brain. From a working memory perspective, the working memory can store 7 to 10 things simultaneously. If you have 150 plays, neurologically, that's impossible for somebody to retain at one time in the heat of the moment. And that's why there's fumbles. That's why there's turnovers, because depending on somebody's working memory, I mean, you have people on NFL teams at 21, some people as young as 20, all the way up into their late 30s. And they might be some, I think Aaron Rodgers is old as hell. He might be 40 something. So now there is this working memory gap between everybody. And now you want, the coaches are older. So now you want everybody to remember this, but nobody's done anything to create neurogenesis or increase their working memory. So if you don't exercise it, that's why it's going left. All right. So no, Regina said, so there are a perceived conflict with two people within an organization that I volunteer in. Based on my previous experience, I knew a problem was brewing, so I called a Zoom meeting and prepared a visual. And she will type up the rest. Okay, so there are other people on live this morning. And so the question again is, you have been exposed to the 74 principles of real leadership. How are you applying those? Because if you just know them, it's like people who know, and I'm a Christian, so I'm going to say Bible verses. People know the Bible I read the Bible, I know the Bible from front to back. So why your life don't reflect it then? Oh, ye of little faith. Where your faith verses at in action? Where is that at? So it's how you apply them. Because if you're not creating the new neural pathways, you're going to think about the old way, the unaccountable way. That's going to be your default. You know, when you get a phone or anything, factory reset, and you're going to be right back to negativity bias and unaccountability. So using them and saying this is the principle that I'm using and why, it changes your brain. It changes the wiring, and it happens that the pruning. So I'll go back to this. You will not be using the old phone wire anymore, phone cord. You're going to be using the new one. So out with the old unaccountable neural pathways and in with the new. That's what you have to do. What are you wired to? And the beauty of the 74 principles of real leadership is that you can use them individually, and then you can start combining them. And once you start doing that, again, it's unlimited possibilities, and it anchors you to something. As I've mentioned before, adults are just big teenagers. We don't have a system for adulting. We say we do, but you can't even get along with the family members that you grew up in the same house with. That's how you know y'all could get along. It's like, man, we was kids, we always got along. Why the hell we hate each other as adults? Because there is no handbook for adults. Well, there is now, but there wasn't before. That's why. Okay, Kevin, you said communicate effectively is required of me daily to delegate the work and plans for the week. If that communication isn't clear, it results in incomplete work and backlog on my construction sites. That is absolutely correct. And we know to be true that we are always at somebody's situation, and the contractors are always behind. Always more money and more time, no matter. We was like, well, yeah, and even when Nola was doing work at IKEA, they kept pushing them back because the contractors actually at IKEA wasn't getting the work done on time. Nope, they probably wasn't coming back, but IKEA hired a bunch of taskers to, well, not a bunch, 7, to build. They redid portions of the store, so they hired Nola and 6 other taskers, 7, but one only did one day. And they kept saying, okay, you can't come back tomorrow because the floor is done. So they did 6 days of work, but it took them 3 calendar weeks to do 6 days of work because of the contractors not getting things done on time. Okay, and then Sharonda, for me, I have been holding people in my life accountable where I would normally let things slide, creates less stress for me. Okay, great. Now, give me another example. Regina sent visuals prior to the meeting, used visuals during the meeting, and we had a great dialogue. Principles applied, moved obstacles, and be trustworthy and look people in the eye. So all of those are principle, and Regina actually has a copy of the book, so she has the examples of me in the book as well. And I would just like to say that at the time, 47 is mentioned in my book twice. At the time, I had different information. I vacillated back and forth if I was going to republish the book to take the person's name out because that information was false at the time. And I said no, because at the time, that's the information that I had. So that stays in there because you can't undo something that was there. It has to be part of the process. So when you know better, you do better. Yeah. So I was like, dang, should I go back and take that out? But I'm not going through all of that. That was the time. There are a lot of, when you find out more about people, that's why if you be honest, then you won't be sitting there years later going, well, shit. Okay. All right. So another example. And I know that you all are now thinking, okay, I got to have another example, because what happens is this needs to, just like you wake up every morning and in theory, make up your bed, personal hygiene, the 3 S's, and you eat and you take in hydrations, you have water, you exercise, you have all these things that you do that weren't once a part of your adult life. This has to become part of your adult life. It is necessary for you to live your best, to be personally accountable and be free from all of these unaccountable antics and from these unaccountable people, because they will drive you bonkers, unbeknownst to them. They will literally drive you bonkers. So what is another example of you using the principles of real leadership? And I'm telling you, this is Wired Wednesday going forward, so be prepared for it. So now you have a whole nother week to ensure that you are now, and if you don't have the book yet, go to the website and look at the 74 principles of real leadership and start to apply them. If you need to go back and listen to the previous lives where that section was there to understand it better and how to use it, because what you're doing is creating new neurons and you're creating new neural pathways. And so people always say, well, damn, I wish I could just stop thinking about them. I wish I could just stop doing dumb shit. Well, if that neural pathway to dumb shit is still there, you're going to wake up every day doing dumb shit. So you need to stop the communication from it and actually making it a pathway, prune it, and replace it with something that's more productive. Because otherwise, the brain is going to do what it's been doing. Unless you give it a detour, it's going to go straight to dumb shit. It's going to go straight to steel, bat, and tire iron, beat somebody up. Unless you do something different, which is create a new neural pathway. It's not, oh, I just need to stop. Okay, great. That's not going to work because the brain is wired for what you already wired it for. You're going to have to do some rewiring. You're going to have to participate in neuroplasticity. That's the only way. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna just give myself 30 days. In those 30 days, if you don't create new neurons and neuroplasticity, some new neural pathways, guess what's gonna happen on the 31st day? You're going right back to what you was doing before. Water rises to its natural level unless something else takes place. So it's not going to work. You've been trying to lose these 20 pounds for 20 years. You lose it, it goes back. You lose it, it goes back. You lose it, it goes back. Because it's a lifestyle change. If you just did a wardrobe change and you did that cayenne lemon pepper thing, and you went and got a colonic and you dropped it, and now you got your hot girl, hot guy summer weight, sugar daddy weight, and now fall comes and now you all comfort and Netflix and chill and binge watching, and then you voluptuate again, that's a vicious cycle. And the brain is going to be ready for that. Okay, cool. It's hot outside. We want to show some skin. Got it. Sun's out, guns out, or sun's out, buns out. Got it. And now you cover it all back up. And you're also messing with your, what's the name? Dang it, I can't think of it. Pituitary glands. I forgot what it is. That makes your weight fluctuate back and forth. That you shouldn't be messing with. It's escaping me right now. The point is, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. If you do not create new neural pathways, you're going to be the same. It's neurological. If you don't participate in neurogenesis, it's going to be exactly the same. 100%. You could change your location, you could change your zip code, you could change your address, you could move to another country. You take you wherever you go. I've never seen somebody outrun themselves. I've never seen it happen. You're coming with you wherever. So you might as well just stay put and create new neurons and create neurogenesis and do neuroplasticity. Do some neuromobility, which is combining both of those and using the 74 principles of real leadership in order for that to occur. All right. And then Sharonda said, I decluttered my vanity. It was hard because I'm sick. I wanted to not do it, but kept at it. It took 3 hours, but accomplished my goal. It is decluttered and neat and organized. And that is awesome, Sharonda. And last week, Nola had a head cold, or the week before last, she had a head cold, and we still had to go do all of these appointments and get everything done as well. And she has some business changes that she was attempting to make. And so I understand that. One of the 74 principles of real leadership is to persevere during times of adversity. Now, at no point should you be compromising your safety and your complete health. But when you push past those things, you are actually creating new neural pathways as well, and it's actually making you stronger. So I use the example of my hand from air assault school. So if I hadn't have still, because I was by myself at the time and I still had to shine my boots and everything, if I didn't have this occur, then when I had my surgery on my stomach, that was not supposed to happen, but anyway, then I wouldn't have been able to change my open wound without any meds, and then I wouldn't been able to have my bone marrow aspiration without any pain meds. And then when I just cut my thumb the other day, I wouldn't have been able to go ahead and provide first aid and then go ahead and do the next appointment. So sometimes you have to work hard to get things done. All right, Kevin. My wife traveled with me on a business trip. I drove there. I drove around the city doing an unscheduled tour. I drove half the way back, and she wanted to run into the QT for snacks. When she came out, I was on the passenger side in nap position. Got it. So you took a nap, you provided coaching, and then you challenged yourself and you relaxed at the same time. I believe that's what you're saying. And I was on the passenger side in that position. That's cool. Okay, Nola, what do you have? And again, the reason why this is taking place is so that, So the reason why this is taking place is that you start doing it on purpose instead of accidents. Because and let me ask you a question, and all this is coming through my head really fast, so I'm trying to funnel it through. Let me ask this question. How does this feel doing this wired exercise? How do you feel doing it? And so Noah said, I decluttered my task list by accomplishing them. I got posts made, etc. I didn't even realize how cluttered my desk was until I decluttered it. So how do you feel doing this Wired Wednesday exercise? You like the sharing of your learnings. Got it. And again, this reminds me of when I was in college, and I forgot what class it was, but once a week, we used to sit down in a circle and have group discussions instead of the lecture type format. And I forgot to do that. Although I was going over all the 74 principles of real leadership, that was necessary as well. And I needed a format to actually get this done. I applied thinking forward and eliminate stress while visiting with friends. I spoke to the hostess about the unaccountable husband. She said he really is a jerk. Knowing this prepares me to know how to deal with him. It feels challenging, but it feels good with him in the future. Yes, and so challenging your brain challenge yourself is one of the 74 principles of real leadership, but also cognitive overload is also necessary in order for you to get something into your working memory and to start using it. So the objective is for you to know the 74 principles of real leadership and use them basically on autopilot without even thinking about it. You just start using them, because what that does is that allows you to have the ability to be a thermostat and not a thermometer automatically. Now you know to ask someone for feedback, to solicit feedback changes the situation. It creates a serotonin dopamine exchange while you get information that you need, and it will diffuse a situation, calm a person down without saying, you need to calm your ass down, sit down somewhere and breathe. That's actually not going to work. But if you solicit feedback from them, the brain has this, oh, I got a question. You ask them an open-ended question. Now they have to answer the question. And the reward is answering the question. And that's where the dopamine comes into play. It feels empowering to connect my actions and life to the 74 principles of real leadership. The Wired makes me have to focus on me. It helps me to grow. Got it. I'm waiting on that person to be gone. Okay, cool. So as I was saying before I read Kevin's thing, is this. We were wired for negativity, wired from generations ago. And what happens is it feels different. As soon as I'm on social media, especially when I post on Instagram, as soon as the reel uploads, it takes you to the real page. And so my reels are not as brain savvy as my explore page and my feed. because I don't watch the reels on Instagram. So I'm going to go watch reels on Instagram to find some neuroscientists and brain anything so I can stop seeing what's current. And I have to keep doing it because some award show or something happened. And so even with all that I'm doing, I had a bunch of brain stuff and then this award show with people on it because of payola. So that was in there as well. So even after you get your feed and everything how you want it, you still have to keep doing it because payola is going to push all that shit out the way. But here's the thing. When you are a thermostat and not a thermometer, everything is calm. And so I'm going to use the example of the person who said when they did their closeout survey, they said my personal stories were boring. And Nola and I had a second discussion about this. She said, you are an educator and you are as exciting as educators can be, but it's personal accountability. So you have to tell personal stories because it's personal accountability. And it isn't that it's boring, it's that it's not dopamine. And it isn't supposed to be dopamine. It's oxytocin. Because that's the love hormone. That's the calm hormone. And so if you're looking for dopamine and you get oxytocin, because dopamine is addictive and it's the reward. I watch this, I want to laugh, I want to feel, I want it. And I'm sitting here saying, yeah, so when I was in aerosol school, and see how I injured my hands in these 3 fingers right here. But the beauty is that you can persevere during times of adversity. That's not an exciting story, but it's a true story. And so what has happened is unaccountable people want everything to be exciting because their life is not exciting. And we had my cousin dated a woman, older cousin dated a woman, and she said she used to come home from work and she loved watching Dynasty and she likes watching soap operas and Housewives or whatever. She was like, because their life is exciting and my life is boring. So as soon as I come home, I'm ready to see some excitement. Okay, and then what? Because if you're not going to take what you're watching and turn your life into something better, then it's futile on a good day. So it's not that it's boring. It's oxytocin versus dopamine. And dopamine has its place, but when you just keep looking for dopamine and keep looking for it and keep looking for it and keep looking for it and keep looking for it, all you need is more dopamine. And you miss out on what Regina just said, was that it feels empowering to connect my actions in life to the 74 principles, because you don't want to walk around all day with a hijacked amygdala because you're going to miss something. How can you learn in a dopamine environment? If you need to study, and that's why I used to go to University of Michigan's library, because my school was 15 minutes away, because my dorm was noisy. I lived in a 21 and over dorm, and they partied like a rock star. And I would have to leave, because remember, it's taking me 9 minutes a page to read these doggone criminal justice books. I'm like, I ain't gonna get no damn homework done here. And Michigan's library stayed open later than ours. Plus, hey, I was like what I saw when I was at the library. Okay. Anyway, I digress. You might need to take a doggone reading break and then look and go hunting. So my point is this, that oxytocin is better than dopamine. That's number one. The truth is the truth, and be honest, be honest. And when people come to me looking for something, I asked the question a couple weeks ago, do you have a higher standard for me? So if you are looking for me to give you dopamine, I'm not your pusher woman. I won't give you no dopamine. Okay? It's not going to happen. No, I'm going to give you a little bit of what you need. It's going to be inculcated with other hormones and neurotransmitters to give you balance. That's what's actually going to take place. But when you are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, dopamine, 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 and then you get to me, you're like, I don't really like that. I'm what you need. You can go, and I have fun is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. But in your day-to-day, if you're looking for it to be hyped and amped the whole entire time, you can't learn. Your cognition and your actual personality and everything resides right here in the frontal lobe. So that's not going to work. But if you don't know neurologically that you're addicted to dopamine, because everywhere you go, it's exciting. There are brain videos that I can't watch because they're trying to create a dopamine moment. I showed, the other day, it was yesterday. So I turned my phone towards me and it was a song playing. And I asked Nola, what kind of video do you think is being, what do you think I'm looking at on my phone? And she said, I don't know. And I turned it around and it was a 12-picture infographic about the brain with rock music playing. Now, I don't know about you, but if I got 12 pictures of the brain, the last thing I want is for a brain infographic. Clearly, we've taken dopamine too far. Do you want me to rock out and air guitar? Or do you actually want me to look at the message? I don't know how. I mean, if you have ADHD, you could do it. But if you don't, how you going to learn about those 12 different pictures on that doggone infographic listening to hard rock? So there's a time and a place for everything. I was a stand-up comic. I know when to induce comedy and keep it going. I understand that we're on here an hour every day, but there is a certain time and place for everything. And when people are constantly looking for a dopamine boost, they're not learning. You cannot keep looking for dopamine and want a reward. You want me to reward you for learning something to change your life. I gave you the reward when I told you how to change your life. That's the reward. Go do what I said. Go take the personal example that I used and apply it, and then you'll get your dopamine. But you want it right now. And it's later. When you apply what I'm telling you, then you get the dopamine. You're going to get a release, a reward, because reward openly and reprimand privately are both 74 principles, part of the 74 principles of real leadership. So my point is, everybody has gone to the extreme, and now everybody wants everything to be dopamine. If you ever scroll on social media, the more personal accountability that you have in you, the harder it's going to be for you to do those things, because you're like, that's too much, that's too loud, that's too much. What's happening? Like, I don't want that right now. Kevin wanted to take a nap. When you want to have fun, you can say, oh, I'm going to go look on TikTok because I want to have some fun. I'm doing my have fun time. I'm doing 15, 20 minutes, and then I'm going to move on, because that's all I need. It's like eating a dessert. It was nice. It was sweet. It was tasty. A little treat. Have a little coffee, and I'm done. A little tea, a little wine, whatever it is that you like with your desserts, and then you move on. So the 74 principles of real leadership are what you need, because we didn't, two things they didn't give us when we got 18 or 25. We didn't get an owner's manual for our brain, and we didn't get an owner's manual for adult life. We didn't. We're just supposed to know. But they even have parenting classes, but they don't have adult 101. And if they do, it's not best. It's just this how you ain't gonna go to jail. This how you gonna keep your job. This how you pay your bills. It's just the regular stuff. But it doesn't tell us how to communicate effectively. Regina, you were at an event where a husband was making everybody uncomfortable, and you're saying, okay, now I know who this dude is. Now I have a strategy the next time I see him. How do you deal with that? How? What are you going to use? The 74 principles of real leadership are universal. Treat people with dignity and respect. I've never met a person, an adult yet, that's like, yeah, no, disrespect me. Treat me like shit. Drag my ass all over this place. No. Who doesn't want to be listened to when they're speaking? Everybody wants to be on the receiving end of communicate effectively, but who wants to learn how to communicate effectively? And if you are living in a working memory that's atrophied, if you have a hijacked amygdala, if you are addicted to dopamine, if you have all of these biases, you got to create neurogenesis, because nothing that I am saying is going to stick. It's not going to work. And now I understand that. I look back at all the times, I'm like, well, dang, why did they? Neurogenesis. You have to create the neural pathway yourself, because all of our brains are wired differently once we start wiring them ourselves. I mean, DIY. How many DIY videos are there for wiring your brain? I don't know. I haven't looked it up. Maybe I shall. Right. You got wiring your car, wiring your house, wiring all kind of stuff, but not your brain. And it could be. I'll know tomorrow, and I'll give y'all an answer for that. But it's up to you, because you are where you are. I'm not where you are. I'm not where you are at all. So how can I wire your brain for you to deal with what you're dealing with? I have one grown child and an ex-husband, and I don't talk to my family members. So I don't go to holiday events. So I'm going to tell you not to go. And then you're going to go, and I'll be like, I told your ass not to go. So you went, you get what you get, because I don't do that anymore. But that's my choice. If you are a sanguine personality, if you like going to events, then go to the events and have fun, but have a strategy when you go. That's why you have to wire your brain for your life. Another one. See how I told y'all the stuff just come? So you didn't get a manual for your brain. You didn't get a manual when you got your frontal lobe that everybody keeps talking about when you did 25. The only thing you did was get, if you have a vehicle, your insurance went down in America when you turned 25. That's the only thing that happened. And the rest of it is you have been effing out there flapping, is what we used to call it in the military, ODFing. You've been by the seat of your pants, trying to make shit happen. And that's no bueno until now. Now you actually have a system that you can actually use, that you're actually in control of. And now you have the ability to understand how this amazing organ actually functions, and you get to use it. And now you have all these tools, 74 tools that can be combined for you to navigate through life to get to your best. And just a reminder, because we're getting ready to switch over to go ahead and read letters from Louise, is this. Remember that everything I'm looking at is for children and for sickness and disease. I'm taking this information and say, okay, as soon as they get the dementia, okay, I don't want that part. Okay, as soon as they get the Alzheimer, okay, as soon as they get the brain damage, okay, so little snapshots in order to create neuropability so you can use it now, because we all passed elementary school. And some of us are on the other side of being older, but we ain't at dementia and Alzheimer's. We don't have brain damage. We just want the brain to work. And we want to be able to be responsible for it. And that's the whole point, because it's empowering. Empower others is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. And that's my objective, to empower you. Regina, you are sitting at these events like, no, you had that doggone Zoom meeting and put everything. There's nothing like that. That's when you received your dopamine. Kevin, when you did all of that and moved to the passenger side and took your nap, you were empowered and you got dopamine. You got a nice nap and dopamine. That's what it is. And Sharonda, when you finally finished after 3 hours of doing what you needed to do with your vanity, and now you can see everything and you know where everything is, even though you don't feel well, you felt better. It was this cortisol gone. So the brain fog was gone. The clutter was gone. Then you could take a nap. Then you could actually sleep. You're like, wow, I could go to sleep now. Because it was bothering you so much and you didn't know. That's where the release of the dopamine is. That's where the reward is. It's not in binge watching some shit on Netflix and eating some bonbons. I know they probably don't even make bonbons no more, but that's what people used to do. Being a couch potato and just watching the game. No, because that's fleeting. So you got this oxytocin and this dopamine experience, and now every time you go to use your vanity, it's clear. And now it's a place for everything in everything in its place. And now you can just replace the lip liner because you're done with it, because you can see it, whatever you have. Because now you've done an inventory. You got rid of the old stuff, wiped it all down. It's all clean and good now. That's the dopamine that you get when you apply the 74 principles of real leadership, and it works. Every time I finish a book, reading is fundamental. Bam, dopamine, I'm done. I either liked the book, I didn't. I do a video, I record it, I put it on my YouTube channel. Voila. That's what the dopamine is for. It's not so you're like, did you see that ugly ass dress she had on? Oh my God, he got a man. Woo, I love we laughed. We talked about it. We talked so much shit. Yes, we did. Had us a good time. Drank a little too much. It took me 2 days to recover, but yet, no, that's not what it was for. It was for to put effort in, create neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, and say, bam, look what I just created. Kevin, you're using KindMaster now. You are like a kid in a candy store. That's what you said. Now you get to do all these amazing things with your videos. That's dopamine. When you open that app up and say, oh, pay dirt, that's dopamine. That's when you get it. That's when you use it, because it's working. You are rewarded for your effort, for the fact that you created a new neural pathway, not because you sat on your ass and watched something that was boring. That ain't what it's there for. I am not responsible for whether you're bored or not. You are. You are. Because there are plenty of times I heard movies was good. I watched it. I was like, oh no, that wasn't it for me. Oh my God, no, because then did you see this? It worked for you, but it was unfulfilling for me. I am an educator, and my objective is to teach you how to get you what you need, so you're not expecting it from anybody else. That's why I'm no longer in relationships with people, because I'm not your wiring. I don't want to be wired to your old shit. I want wiring to my new shit. Okay? My neural pathways are for me. And so, Sharon, you said, I know my memory is not as good as it used to be. I forget a lot, and it's noticeable with my family. So I need neurogenesis. That's correct. And if you are over 35, your working memory is the reason why you can't remember, because it ain't working no more. A lot of people's working memory is unemployed. It stopped working and they didn't get the pink slip. They didn't get the 2 weeks notice. What the hell is what's going on? That's why you have to read 15 minutes of nonfiction every day just to get it back. The brain is a muscle, and when you use it, you can keep using it. And when you don't use it, you lose it. That's what happens. So you need your brain, okay? Now, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go to the website, theturnarounddoctor.com. You should already been there. Y'all know y'all need a second device. You're going to be going to social media. So theturnarounddoctor.com. Oh, okay, so there you go. We're right there together. I'll be 52 in May. And Kevin will be 52 this year too at some point. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So letters from Louise. You're going theturnarounddoctor.com, social media, letters from Louise. And today you're going to be reading religion. Religion. And Nola and I are still attempting to figure out who the target market is for this. As Mary Kay said, we're looking for people that's looking for us. And I know that 6.8 billion adults won't be personally accountable, but here's who I'm thinking the target market is currently, the target student market. People 18 to 25 and people 35 and above. That 25 to 35 group think they know everything. On September 1st, wow, okay. I will be 52 on May 10th. Got it. I'm thinking somebody, you know what? My grandfather's birthday was September 1st. My grandfather was September 1st. My aunt was September 7th. And my stepfather is September 10th. I knew somebody's birthday was September 1st. That's interesting. He was born in 1921. He passed in 2014. Interesting man. Okay, so go ahead and read religion on your page. And then as Virginia just did, ... tell me what you're doing. So currently, so if y'all have thoughts on that, because y'all fit into those categories, 18 to 25, I'm sure you know somebody 18 to 25. You might have children that age or grandchildren that age. And then 35 and above. I think that's what's happening. So people whose brain ain't really working yet, and then people's brain who's already on the outs, fully functioning. But that 25 to 35 group doesn't really necessarily resonate with them because they got it. It's almost like a 15-year-old. You know, a 15-year-old think they know every damn thing, and then they get 18, then they get 25, and then they realize I ain't know shit. Why you ain't? I see why you punched me. What did I know? And then damn thing, nothing. Can't drive and can't get a job, but you know everything. You got it all figured out. Roger that. And I love allergy season because I really like my eyes and my nose itching randomly throughout the day. I think it's like the most amazing time ever. Twice a year for about 3 to 4 weeks. It's just like awesome. I think allergy season and oatmeal. I don't know which one I love more. I think I probably love oatmeal more because I have to eat it every day. So really, I'm like, man, is it allergy season or is it raw oatmeal? Which one? So again, for the people who just joined, the turnarounddoctor.com website, go to the social media tab, click on the third one from the bottom, letters from Louise. And my tablet just decided to go out of my own website. I know what it is. I wrote it. Well, my blog, poetry blog. What's happening here? Is something happening on my website? Because I can't get on my tablet. Let me take the Wi-Fi off and see what happens. It could be my tablet. It's old. Hmm. Okay. I have no idea what took place, y'all. I'm back, I think. My tablet is about to be 4 years old, though. One thing about me, I don't buy new technology until it falls all the way apart. Okay. Noah says it doesn't matter how religious you are, you need to have faith. Faith has you be able to do everything. The different variations in the way religious is written is likened to the many variations of humans. We are seeking the same things, but in varied ways. Got it. And that's one of the reasons why, Sharonda, I don't tell people that they need to be Christians. And I actually don't. My uncle was agnostic, and I had a soldier that was an atheist when I was in the military. I had somebody that was Wiccan. And so I am not a person that says that you need to have this religion. I've gone to the mosque, I've gone to Catholic services, the Kingdom Hall, all the Episcopalians, Kojic, Baptist, Southern Baptist, storefronts, mega churches, all of it. So yeah, that you will not hear that from me. And even going to Al-Anon meetings, they don't say God, they say higher power. And we've had people in the meetings that initially came and said, I don't believe in none of that. And then they find themselves growing into that belief. And so it's a personal choice that you actually have that. So I was like, man, I know I said I don't talk about religion, but here's a poem. So am I really talking about religion? And I'm not really talking about religion. I wrote the poem for a specific reason. Kevin said, I read religion and couldn't come up with anything. Then it hit me. We have so many different religions, and everyone is trying to figure out how to use it. Got it. All right. And then not just Regina's response. So while Regina says her response, here's the reason why I wrote this poem. Religion causes wars, fights, discord in families. It's this very emotional, intense thing that people are attached to. Okay, Regina, your comment statement about religion is true. It doesn't teach people how to the fundamentals to behave. Particularly disturbing when some religions promote division. I respect each person's choice. I agree. Religion is personal. It's almost like voting. It's like your hair. It's like something that you get to choose in life, and then everybody's forcing you to do it without you. If you grow up, you Baptist. We Baptist in this household. How dare you go be a Catholic? You over here with them Muslims and all. You get why? 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 You're an adult. You should be able to pick. That's like forcing you to eat McDonald's. We is a McDonald's family, and we eat formaldehyde French fries and old meat that don't fucking ever the cheese don't never rot. Nola did a science project on McDonald's hamburgers, and she left the meat out, and the cheese never molded. Never, and we lived. It was out, and everything else, and it stunk and everything. But that cheeseburger stayed the same. I think that project went on for 6 weeks. So okay, and the fries, nothing. I don't even think the fries had any mold on them or whatever. You know, potatoes supposed to mold, especially after they're cooked. So the point is that I wrote this poem to be rebellious. That is concerning. Yes, it is. So I wrote this poem to be rebellious. As we know, I'm working on taking risk and challenging myself. It's a thing that I've been working on for a long time. I have a hard time to okay, no, I don't. Anyway, so I said religion, and when I got to this poem years ago, almost like about 18 months ago, maybe about a little bit 20 something months ago, almost. I said, let me do something about religion. And I went to church for 26 years again. I was faithful, tither, blah, blah, all that. Like I said, different small churches, medium churches, big churches, and everything. And then when we moved here to Las Vegas, I stopped going to church. I said, enough, I'm done. I'm not getting it's not giving what it's supposed to have gave. Let me try a different approach. And I wrote this because it's you Kojic. Well, we're Episcopalian, we're Presbyterian, because we live here, and there's a large Mormon population here, Catholic population here as well. And then, of course, the Baptists and the Southern Baptists and Kojics and all of that. We even have a church that's called Busting the Gates of Hell Open Ministries. I think Nola's going to correct me on that. Storming the Gates of Hell Ministries is what a little storefront. And we passed it on Sunday. They stormed the gates of hell. So anyway, that is true. That you have all this religion and we still have infighting. We still have division. We can't get along even with all of this spirituality taking place. And that's the problem, is that that's not even anchoring. And even within the religion, you have infighting. You got who gets to be the assistant pastor, who's the deacon, and who's the armor bearer, and all of this. So it's still not even working in the place that it's supposed to be working, which is part of the reason why I left. They call it church hurt. I'm done. So the point is, there needs to be something that brings us all together, that just unites us. Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. We live by, I forgot. Nola has Jewish clients, and so we can't schedule appointments on after 6 p.m. on Friday or Saturday because that's the Sabbath. So we have Hasidic Jews. Yes, and they walk the temple twice and Ramadan and all of that. I so apologize. I knew it was another one. I just couldn't remember what it was. So we actually live by 3 temples, and we have such a high Jewish population where we live. Our Smith's grocery store has a whole kosher section for them. Literally, when you walk in and go right, Nola actually eats the kosher hot dogs. We've had some of the cookies and things like that as well. So they have a whole section, deli section and everything. How did I forget that? So that's how big the population is over here. And now y'all thinking y'all live over there with some people with some bread. That's why it's them 5 banks over there. Forget about that part. The point is that they're there too. And so we get people from all backgrounds. You name it. We definitely just had some people from the mid east with the couches. So the point is, at Frito-Lay, we used to say, what difference does a difference make? It doesn't make a difference. People are people. And as everybody mentioned, everybody is looking for something bigger than themselves to believe in so that they can have a better existence. That's what it's there for. So that's the purpose of the principles of real leadership. And my high school boyfriend, I worked with him when I stopped working with my sister. I did his website and did some stuff to him. And his father was a preacher, and he's supposed to be a pastor too, but he calls himself a prophet. And twice a day, even a broke clock is right. But he said this back to me in 2014. He said, "You gonna bring people back to God or to a higher power without the church, because everybody don't like church." He said that way back in 2014. Passing. I wasn't even paying no attention to him. And now I'm back here 11 years later. And it is based upon faith. It takes faith for you to know, I'm going to wake up today and have neurogenesis. I'm going to create a better existence for myself and those around me. Independent of religion or anything else, my existence has to be better. And that's what real leadership is doing. It is giving you power to be your best. It's saying use this brain and these 74 human principles, regardless of age, economic background, education background, sexual orientation, or any of that, ethnicity. None of that matters. Why? Because we all got brains. Done. Everybody got a brain. Finished. Everybody can use the 74 principles of real leadership. So what are we talking about? It is the thing that unites us. And it's not, now everybody gonna try to be a billionaire. Nobody wanna fucking be a billionaire. Who wants all them damn problems and headaches? I don't think billionaires should be billionaires. And if they had a new set of wiring for fulfillment, because every time they get to the top of the billionaires list, what they do? Get to the top and then go do something philanthropic. Why? Because they found out that shit wasn't gonna be fulfilling and rewarding. It lasts a dopamine boost. Everybody's like, bow down, kiss the ring. And now they gotta wake up the next day like, and now what? Because it's not fulfilling. That big old burst of dopamine, and now you're looking for some oxytocin, and that's when you start giving the money away and start going to have these foundations and all this, when you could just did that in the first fucking place. And you didn't have to ruin people and step on people and do all kind of stuff first. Ill-gotten gains just leaves you ill. So don't do it. Don't enter into those Faustian bargains. So the 74 principles of real leadership, you like how they make you feel because it's oxytocin. You feel fulfilled when you're using the 74 principles of real leadership, independent of money, cost, or anything. How much could you have actually paid for this to feel how you feel? What? Priceless. Can't really put a price on it, but you can pay it forward. You can actually have a better existence day in and day out. Nobody else in the world is focused on you becoming your best but me. Nobody. They try to get something from you, quid pro quo. I'm going to do this, now you owe me kind of shit, some street shits. Yeah, I'm going to do this now, but remember, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to need a favor later. No, absolutely not. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. That's what you can do. Change your community so that we don't have my religion poem is no longer true. Make this poem inaccurate, invalid, because a house divided can't stand. It cannot. So the 74 principles of real leadership are what unites us and makes us best, so that Kevin can go back to his favorite restaurant, so that Regina can go to her dinner party and not have an imbecilic ass husband acting a fucking fool and just making everybody uncomfortable. So that you can have your better existence, so that you don't have to have cortisol, acute and chronic cortisol happening because of unaccountable people's unwillingness to learn how to use their brain to create new neurons and new neural pathways. Because that's what it is, an unwillingness to prune those bad wires and a willingness to create new neural pathways. That's what we are as a population, an adult population, up against. That's why I wake up every day. Now you know this is a calling, because this is not, ain't nobody been picked up. Like, you know what? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these hard-headed ass adults and day in and day out, I'm going to tell them, use your free will to create neurogenesis. No, when it's easier, the road less traveled is what I'm on. It's easier. I know how to create dopamine. I could do that. And then what? Where would we all be if I jump on the dopamine bandwagon with everybody else? When I know you need oxytocin. So as a parent, and I think all of us are parents, aunts, uncles, or something, you know what your children need. And sometimes you had to be the bad guy. Sometimes you weren't the fun parent. Sometimes you were the disciplinarian. Sometimes your kids was like, ooh, I wish I could. I'm like, I wish you would. But I'm okay being the bad guy. Scarface is one of my favorite movies. So I will be the person that gives you oxytocin instead of dopamine. Because I give you oxytocins in the 74 principles of real leadership, you're going to create your own dopamine moments. And they're actually going to be advantageous for you. All right. So most of you have already said what the clutter was. So for those of you who didn't say, let me know what your clutter, your declutter was. And today, your real leader principle, or what you're going to do. You too, Regina. What you're going to do is you wire your neural pathways today, Regina. So tomorrow, you'll know what it is. So you're going to be using the 74 principles of real leadership all day long, and know that that's what you will be doing so you can follow up tomorrow. So what did you declutter yesterday? What did you declutter yesterday if you haven't already said it? And you're going to be, you did the kitchen drawer. Okay, so pay attention to your 74 principles of real leadership today and be prepared. Okay, go. I know you got to go. Just want to make sure you got it. I think, Kevin, you're the only one that's left to say what you did. And if you said it already, I apologize. I didn't see it. People were just saying it in their thing that they did. And again, mine was my desk. You, okay. Well, I know that took a minute then if you did your work truck, because we need to do the back of Nola's vehicle. Okay. What did you learn today? Go ahead and type that in, and then we're out. So we got a long commute. We got an appointment. It's going to be a fortnight to get to our first appointment for today. They are far, far away. In a land far, far away, in the land of Henderson. What did you learn? So monitor today. You're going to purposely use the 74 principles of real leadership. If you have to go to the website and look them up and purposely engage in them so you can create new neurons today. And I learned that I still have my wired cord. We thought this was so cool when we got it. And speaking of BlackBerry, here it is. This BlackBerry Pearl. Look how little it was. Isn't that cute? And I tell you what, you don't realize how they used to make, and I know you can't use plastic no more and all of that, but these old Ziploc bags are different. You can't put this much heavy stuff in these new ones. They will fall through on the ground. They don't make this stuff like they used to. Look at that. One seal all the way across. You got to keep pushing it back and forth. And I'm having a hot flash. Hot flash. Sweating out, baby. There's some heat in this house. Yes, dopamine is a reward. People just use it above everything else. It's supposed to be a reward after, not as the thing. Learn that we need more oxytocin as opposed to dopamine. Yes. Well, you'll get the dopamine too after you do the oxytocin thing. So it's okay to have it. People just having it, it's like it's okay if you have a cookie or a piece of cake or something, but if you eat the whole cake and you eat 3 cakes a day and wash it down with some hot chocolate or some other sugar milkshake or something, that's what's happening. If you just think about sugar, that's what people are using dopamine for. Sugar and salt. Those are highly addictive as well. We just don't talk about it. That's why if you look at, next time you look at your food, flip it over. Anything in a package and look at the added salt and the added sugar. And that's what I gave up, was the added sugar. Not things that naturally have sugar in it, but the added sugar. You can have something and it'll say 2 grams of sugar. You flip it over, it's 26 grams and 24 of the grams are added sugar. It's like, why you just didn't leave the sugar that was there naturally? Why you have to add 24 more grams? No, got a Sprite, a 20-ounce Sprite one time. That thing had 68 grams of sugar in it. Why? It was 20-ounce Sprite. Okay. So, yeah, I am looking forward to the Wired Wednesday, because then you get to do your nice little report out. If you want to get a notebook from Target or Walmart, if y'all go get, I'm not going to say, because I don't even feel like getting, get you a spiral notebook from somewhere and take notes of all of the things that you're doing to rewire your brain and get rid of your pruning of your old neural pathways. I learned I have to use real leadership or brain terminology to make conversations calm and not have dopamine. Yes, ma'am. And adrenaline and a lot of adrenaline too. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I do value and appreciate you taking time out of your day to learn how to use this amazing organ, to learn how to apply the 74 principles of real leadership to your life, and to learn that you are empowered to have your best life because you have the resource and the tools to do it day in and day out. God willing, higher power in the universe, I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same face, different t-shirt. You all go off and have a wonderful Wednesday. Adios.